Thank you for joining us at FTP Sports Games. This video contains a tutorial of the RINKSIDE Hockey Game Center, a macro-enabled Excel file that automates all of the game functions for RINKSIDE Hockey. When you open up the RINKSIDE Hockey Game Center, this is the screen that you see. It's kind of like a box score, and it allows you to enter all of the information relevant to the game, the goals, the penalties, and everything associated with that. So the first thing you want to do when you open a new game center is save it and give it a name. The example game I'm going to set up for you is the Flyers at Canadians, and let's say it's on 10:30. After it's saved, you go to full screen mode again, and the first thing you want to do is you'll notice here that there's all these little triangles that show when you hover the mouse over it, it pulls up a little comment and it shows you what each cell is for, or a cell that's like that. So here you're going to choose from the drop down list the visiting team. So let's say it's the Flyers, so Philadelphia, and it's at Montreal, and as you do this it starts to fill in all the information in the rest of the sheet. Down here you fill in the team codes, and these are pretty self-explanatory. PHI for Philly and MON for Montreal. And this allows you to choose them from the drop-down menu when you assign the information for the game. Once that's done, you can also drop down here the different arenas, etc., etc. They're all listed there. The game number if you're playing a season, the date, etc. You'll notice that there's different sections of the score sheet: the score, shots on goal, power play goals. Anything with a 0, it's going to be figured for you automatically and accumulates as you play the game. Everything else, you just choose them and enter the information that you want, etc. The next thing you want to do is you want to bring in the rosters for the game. So if you're using the team sheet, they have them already loaded for you. You need to assign each player a number, and that corresponds with his position on the active roster. So starting with the first line center, then the left wing is number 2, right wing is position number 3, second line center is 4, 5, 6, all the way down. And as soon as you have that all filled out, you just click sort roster, and it places them over there, and then they're in the active roster section, and you just click this button and it copies it for you. You go back over here and it says here that you paste the visiting team starting there. So you simply paste that in there, and then it fills out the information. And what that does is it populates the drop down, so as you start to accumulate things, you can pick the players. Alright? And then you'll want to click the goalie as well. So let's choose Bernie Parent, this little button here. Copies out automatically for you. You paste that, and now Bernie Parent is entered as the goalie for Montreal. And if we do the same thing for the Habs, you click over here, active roster, go back to the game center, and on this side, because as soon as you enter the information, it'll tell you which team. The visiting team is always on the left and the home team is on the right. Paste that in there, and there they are, and Ken Dryden in goal. And so now you have the information listed for the start of the game. And if you scroll down, you'll notice here that this score sheet, you can start to populate it. You don't have to. I really don't do it. I just enter the statistics manually into the team sheet for each game. But if you slide down, you notice there's a whole bunch of buttons down here, and it allows you to assign goals and assists, penalty minutes, and once you do that, it starts to populate that information up there so you can easily keep track of it. If you want to assign plus minus, then +1 obviously is a plus, -1 is a minus, but they're also by line. So if let's say, for example, the first line for the Flyers, they score a goal, an even strength goal, and the third line gives it up for Montreal. If you click the L1 green and the L3 red for each team, then it gives a +1 to the scoring team and a -1 to the team that gave up the goal. Same thing for the defense pairings down here. You can enter game notes if you want to type those in. Stars of the game, you can enter those in if you want to give those. And then as you're playing the game, like I said, a lot of this information starts to populate here. At the end of the game, you assign the statistics, again from the drop-down menu, the number of minutes played, shots the goalie faced, goals given up, etc. And the hits for the teams are tallied here as that happens. And then as penalties take place during the game, when you enter a visiting team penalty here, let's say Bobby Clark at 10 minutes and 5 seconds of the first period. Let's scroll up here. Let's say Bobby Clark gets an interference penalty. See how it starts to fill it out like a hockey score sheet, and you'd give the visiting team a 2-minute penalty. All right, so that's the statistics page, and it allows you to keep track of, like in a box score type fashion, everything that goes on, so that when the game's over, you can click right back over to the team statistics page, and you can enter everything in there relevant to what took place during the game. All right, let's go back here now. At the start of the game, let's click over to the game center, and you'll see that Philadelphia and Montreal are entered there. Then you want to scroll down and hit the period plus button that moves it to the first period, and then you go down to the pregame skate. All right, so what you're looking for here is the officiating. It's normal officiating, so you wouldn't want to change that. And then you're looking at these numbers here. This will determine if the goalie starts out in a good game or a normal game or a bad game. And again, there's little hover comment boxes. So just knowing these goalies, I don't have the cards in front of me, but Bernie Parent and Ken Dryden, those are both within their good game rating, so they're going to start the game with a good game rating. And when you read the rules, all that will become clear to you. And then here, then the enforcers eye each other during the pregame skate, so there's going to be some nasty stuff, right? We wouldn't expect anything else from the Broad Street bullies. All right? So both Parent and Dryden are going to start out in a good game. And let's say, for example, let's cycle the numbers. Let's say, for example, call it tight. This changes how often the officials call penalties, again, according to the rules. This button here allows you to change the intensity of the game. Say it's bitter rivals and they played a couple of back-to-back heated games, etc., etc. You can change that there, and it kind of advances the dirty plays and the chippiness meter, etc. So when a bad game is showing here, when you read the rules, that's where you would see if the goalie starts out a game with a bad game rating, or during a confidence check if he slides down a level. And so when you click that button, it just automatically pops you up to the top of the screen. So let's say, for example, both goalies start with a good game. You enter that from the drop-down menu, and then it shows that here. All right, the Computer Game Center. What it does is it automates everything that takes place on the cards and charts version of Rinkside Hockey. So I'll start up here and kind of work my way around. All right. In this section up here, this is the face-off section. This is the face-off win number, and this is the face-off controlling player. Every now and then, you'll see enforcers or penalty things that pop up here. Again, in the rules, it gives more information about that. I'm not going to go into detail here. Just try and keep this fairly short and more of an overview of the Computer Game Center itself. But that's the face-off area, and every now and then you'll see either a green H or a red V, and that means that player is tossed if it's an in-zone face-off, or it's an automatic win and dump in if it's a neutral zone face-off. This is the fight card for when the nasty stuff starts to happen. It shows you which visiting player by enforcer agitator number is pitted against the home player, and if it has an L there, it means it's the lowest of the players on the ice. This is the in-zone play. This is the main area for the game because most of the time the game is played in either one team or the other zone. So these are all the actions that take place and the players involved with it. This means the puck is in the high slot in a dangerous position for the offense, and the left winger has a chance to play that. And you'll notice over here these numbers. I have one on the left side in red for the visiting team and another set of numbers over here in blue for the home team. These are the play result numbers. This one here, this replaces the blue number on the play result cards. It's a 1 through 20. And same thing over here. This is the exact same set of numbers. And this is a random number 1 through 100. And they're divided by digits, so they're independent of each other. So this can be a 0. So 100 is actually just double 0. And that has relevancy when you read the game instructions. This here is the block, screen, block shots, deflected, tipped, everything like that. When that shows up, that means that player has a chance. If nothing is there, then that doesn't take place. This is the crossbar and post section. So when you fire a shot on goal, if it shows crossbar or post, it hit that. And again, this is just the puck location of the in-zone play. All right, as we continue down, this is the chippiness meter. As you start to hit these buttons, the chippiness meter gets full. We keep clicking it. The game intensity elevates from normal to agitated. If you keep clicking it, It's going to get up to hot, and then after that, boiling. And so as that happens, and after whistle, scrum is showing and fight is showing at the same time, then the players drop the gloves and they have a go at it. And when we scroll down, I'll show you a little bit more about the fight card. As we move down here, this is the breakout section and forecheck session for when the home team has the puck in their zone. So stretch pass is a forecheck maneuver. So the right defenseman tries a stretch pass. So again, everything pertinent to what takes place in that section of the ice is listed there. For the face-off, it tells you who. The fight card, it's who. In the zone play, it tells you who. And down here in the forecheck and the breakout section, it gives you the information for who is involved. And these are the momentum buttons for the teams. Again, blue for home, red for away. As they start to accumulate momentum, pretty soon you'll see green M's over here, and that means that they're playing with momentum at that time. So if they go to break out the puck, you shift the momentum over to this side, and as they start to gain momentum points, if this M is showing when the team has control of the puck on a breakout, then it's like that right there, it's an automatic breakout. And regardless of the play result number, the play moves to center ice. So as we're going along here, this is the net scramble area. Net scrambles occur when the goalie save number is doubles, and under certain circumstances, the game rules will give you a little bit more information about that. This is what happens on a bad breakout. So if a team is trying to have a breakout and they don't make the play, this tells you what the result of it is when a bad breakout happens. This right here, this is the area that takes the place of the red number. So anytime a defensive play is involved, or like an offensive battle or whatever, anytime the rules call for a red number, it's this one here, and this is the number 100 associated with it for penalties, etc. And when you use a 1 through 20 blue number, this is the number you would use in case of a penalty check, etc. And then right here, this replaces the hit strategy section on the play result cards. So you choose your hit strategy from the drop-down menu, whether it's hit plus, which means they're going to take the body all the time, but there's a chance more penalties can be called, or hit minus means they lay off the body and don't have as many penalties to kill because there's less penalty chances to be committed. And so that has to do with the hitting strategy. And this is the red number here in case the defender has to play the puck or play the man, etc., etc. Anytime a red number is involved, it's this one. Anytime it's blue, it's one of these, depending on which team is in the zone, whether it's the home or the defensive. And these numbers are for the shots on goal. It's the black 100 number from the instructions for shots on goal. So, for example, if the visiting team took a shot on goal, this would tell you if it's on target and if it's easy or difficult for the goalie to save, and this would tell you if the goalie made the save or not and what happens after. Moving down here, this is the grade of the scoring chance. So say Wayne Gretzky sets up somebody, then you look to see who that player is by offensive grade. So it's a B player, so you look at his line mates, whoever has a B grade. If more than one player has a B grade, then this down here helps you break that tie between forward and defense or right-left, etc., etc. And the instructions give a little bit more detail on that. This is the odd man rush and transition section. It replaces that odd man rush and transition section on the play result cards and everything that can happen there. And this is the result number used for the defensive player. So you'll notice when it's an odd man rush, that's a blue number, a 20 number, and so there's less of a chance that he breaks it up. When it's a transition, that's a red number, which means it's a random number 1 through 10, and so he has a greater chance of breaking that up. And this is the penalty number associated with it if he doesn't make the play. This is the visiting team's breakout and forecheck area. So that all is dependent upon the strategy. So when you choose forecheck 1, that means your boys are going to drop back a lot more and put less pressure in the zone, kind of fall back and try and set up a trap to keep the other team from going through the neutral zone easily and into their offensive zone. And you just choose these from a drop-down menu, and when you do, it changes what type of pressure. So when the visiting team is in a forecheck 3, that means they're going to try and apply more pressure. And all of that again is given in detail in the game instructions. So anyways, this moves the goalie from good game to very good game to great game, or drops back down to just a dash, which means normal. And this allows you to check your forecheck strat or change it. You can do that at any time. All right. And the rules give a little bit more information as to what each forecheck level means. As we move up here, this right here determines whether a visiting team or a home team player is involved depending on certain things, like if a puck is loose in the neutral zone, it tells you whether the visiting team or the home team gains control of it. This is the physical section. It replaces the physical play type listed on the right play result card, and it has its own result number there. This neutral zone section is really important, and like the rules state, it's designed like a stoplight. Red means that the defense is set up well, and it would be hard to move through the neutral zone. Yellow means that it's kind of play slows down a little bit, and it's not so free to move through, but the defense doesn't have such an advantage. So it's just like a stoplight. It's the middle area. So this would have certain players match up. When you see green pop up, that means that the player, in this case the right wing, he's the offensive zone player. That means he's moving through the center of the ice in the neutral zone unimpeded, unchallenged by the defense, and he'll automatically gain the zone. This is the failed neutral zone play indicator. So if a team tries to make a play in the neutral zone, like skate in or a chip and chase, etc., this tells you what happens. Again, all that's covered in the game instructions. And as you move up, if this contains a player, then that has a certain meanings to it. For example, when there's a yellow position player listed here and an offensive player listed there, then that causes them to match up in the neutral zone and certain things take place. Again, all according to the rules. And this here, this just tells you basically the rough position of the puck, so that it gives you visual description of what's happening. You can kind of do a little bit of play-by-play in your mind as you roll through things, and it has it in the three main phases. In zone, it tells you where the puck is, so the offense is in a dangerous possibility with the left winger in the high slot. Neutral zone, all right, right winger skating through the zone, no problem, along the boards. And then as we move up to the dump and chase area, this tells you where the puck has been dumped into. So in this case, it's behind the net, and it calls for a D battle. All right, this is the play description. Again, that's on the left PRC, and this would be the offensive player involved, the forechecker, and the defensive player that would battle in the corner, etc., etc. Again, all that is covered very specifically in instructions. All this does is just give you a visual reference as to what replaces the PRCs and the charts in the game itself. So again, dump and chase, neutral zone, physical play, visiting team forecheck, breakout section, all the momentum buttons, rush transition, this is, and I only did one here, so it's kind of like a V, right? So offensive zone, defense. So anytime a defender is involved, the red number, the 1 through 10 number, is replaced here with the different hitting strategies, etc., etc. Net scrambles, bad breakouts, the momentum buttons for the home team, the chippiness meter, the in zone play, and these are the result numbers, the 1 through 20 and the 1 through 100. This is all the block shots, etc., crossbars right between the two, so you can see it easily. Fight card and face-off control. And then these buttons assign the stats. Goals, shots on goals, hits, block shots, time. Time clicks down in 30-second increments. And then again for the home team. Alright. And then along here is all the strategy. If an injury is called for, this tells you which player it is, from which team, and what type of injury. And then down here, this is the agitator retaliator section. So when the after whistle, well, let's talk about the after whistle here. This shows scrum. And whenever scrum pops up, it shows you down here what's happening. Pushing and shoving leads to a penalty being called on an away team player. But if the CP, coincidental penalty, symbol pops up, then it's then both players are taken off. And again, the rules cover all that explicitly. But if it calls for an agitator scenario, then the left right here, this is the agitating player, and this is the potential retaliating player. And then this down here, this is the referee's call. This tells you if he calls a penalty. In this case, he hasn't. So if penalty is showing there, then when a penalty is either drawn or committed through one of these actions, that tells you if the ref raises his arm or not. And if it's not there, that means he let it go. And when you're down here, and we're in the let them play mode, but if you were to change to call it tight, you'll see that penalty is going to be listed there almost all the time, which means any potential infraction is going to be called. And this is down beneath there, it lists the draw retaliation if a guy gets called for penalty and if he has a chance to retaliate or draw retaliation. These are the aux play buttons. So anytime one of these ends is yellow, which means it ends in 0, like 10 or 20. Sorry, just 10, not 20. And the other digit associated with it is 0. Then the different auxiliary plays come into effect, and those are also explained in the instructions. These right here, these are the penalty types by scenario: zone penalties, hit and battle penalties, face-off penalties, offensive zone penalties, etc., etc. When you want to assign penalty minutes to a team, let's say up on the scoreboard, let's say the home team gets called for a 2-minute penalty, then you enter that there, and it shows the 2 minutes up there, and it allows you to keep track of it as you kill off the penalty time. And then if you want to clear that away, that's done there. This, after a fight, this places 5 minutes for both teams, and this would place 2 minutes for both teams on coincidental penalties. And again, you can clear those at any time. If you want to assign a power play chance to the visiting team, you do so there. Power play goal will tally a chance and a goal. So they're 1 for 4 on the power play, the visiting team. And then as you move down, you'll see that you can change the game scenario here. You can bump up the penalty, or the period, reset the clock, reset the entire game, put the game into regular season overtime, which means there's 5 seconds on the clock. Visitor calls timeout, home team calls timeout. And then over here, you can either reset the momentum, reset the chippiness meter, or reset the dirty plays. Now the fight card, and this is also covered in the rules, but this is where you drop down to when a fight happens, and then you compare the players, high and low, according to their enforcer agitator number. And if they're the same, then the visiting team is high and the home team is the lower one. And this will tell you whoever has the advantage at the start of the fight, and this will give you the result. So it's just like the fight card on the game charts themselves. And it'll tell you who wins the fight and the momentum bump or the chippiness meter change associated with it. If there's brawls or third man in or instigator or anything like that, that pops up there. This is injuries by games played. So whenever an injury is assigned, you look up how many games the player appeared in, and it'll tell you how many games he's going to miss there. And if you happen to have a tied game in a more modern area with a shootout, this allows you to choose the round. And let's say the visitor guy skates in first. Rick McLeish makes a penalty shot. Let's say Guy Lafleur. Let's say he misses his, and it helps you keep track of that. So Philadelphia would be 1-0 after the first round, and that allows you to keep track of who's scoring what and who's ahead during the actual shootout itself. So again, this is a pretty basic walkthrough, kind of explaining where the things are. Again, it's an exact replica of the board game itself. All this does is just replace the play result cards and the charts. And so as you become familiar with each of these areas, you'll see how it mirrors the game itself. And what you'll notice too is if you have the player cards laid out in front of you, this starts to happen real fast, because you can look at let's say it's a zone play. And if it's the offensive team has a dangerous scenario in the slot, well, that's the left winger. You click on this, and you would look here because that calls for a blue number, and he probably picks out the puck, and then he fires it, maybe fires it wide. I mean, it starts to happen very quickly. Now, the fun part. When goals are scored, you can either tally the goal and give a momentum bump for the goal first, or you can flip over to the goals page. This puck up here automatically moves you over to the goals scored section and by goal type. So let's say, for example, the scenario we just went through, the left winger, he actually was able to hop onto the puck in a dangerous situation in the slot. So you click that button, and then it starts to fill out the information here. So the goal is from a dangerous offensive position. So that left winger gathered the puck and fires a wrist shot and beats the goalie over the shoulder stick side. So it gives you a description of the type of goal that is scored. And then down here, again, the rules go into detail about this, but it gives you the information on how many players were involved in assisting on the goal. So this one calls for 2 players to be involved, starting with the highest setup number, moving down, and the minimum number that they need to have in order to be credited with assist. And when there's 2 players with the same rating, then it breaks it by forward, defense, and then left and right. Again, all that is covered in the game instructions themselves. So after you have that information down, you can click reset, return to the game screen, and it pops you right back here. And then if you wanted to go over to the box score and enter that information, let's say at 19 minutes and 14 seconds, let's see, Montreal, Steve Shutt, maybe he got the goal on that one. And then you can assign assists. So let's say E. LaFleur and Doug Riseborough assisting on the play. And then this here will help you with the timing. So this is basically the countdown clock. So that means 0 minutes have transpired. And this is the numbers associated when there's 0 here, or if there's 30 there, then it will tell you how many seconds to actually enter in over here. And then as you go through, you start to populate all of this information, and it starts to fill out the game score and score sheet. And by the time you're done, you played a whole game, and you can enter all of the information there, and then transfer it over into the team sheets. And as you start to tally these things, they automatically link to the league register if you've got that open as well. We go back here, the league discipline office, and whenever a match penalty happens, or a third man in, or a game misconduct, etc., you need to check with the league discipline office to see if the player is going to be suspended, and if so, how many games. Certain auxiliary plays and check bench scenarios, we'll find a coach, maybe getting upset, or perhaps he criticizes the officiating in the press conference after the game, and this will tell you if the coach faces suspension. So again, missed that. So the check bench button is here. So right there, coach receives game misconduct. So that means he's been ejected, and you would check with the league office. So let's check with the league office. No suspension. If you were suspended, this would be the number of games that would be suspended for. And each of these things has a clear button as well, so that you can clear out the information and not have it present all the time. So again, this is just a basic walkthrough of the Rinkside Hockey Game Center. The next video I'll be working on will be a few example shifts of an example game, and kind of give you an idea of it. If you read through the instructions and you become familiar with those, and you see what type of play result number is called for, and you have the cheat sheet in front of you that can be printed from your game materials, you have the diagrams for the player cards, etc., you pretty quickly you'll start to be able to work your way through this. And then you'll see what happens is, because of the focus on the 3 zones, it starts to make a seamless kind of back and forth game, and you'll start to see how the ebbs and the flows start to develop in the game. Physical play, the nastiness, goalies standing on their head, really good offensive players taking advantages of certain situations, and from there you can pop on over, see what kind of goals are scored, etc. And then after the game, I always keep each game saved so I can look back at it if I need to, or adjust stats if necessary, etc. But again, that's the basic information, and the Rinkside Hockey Game Center. Again, go to ftpsportsgames.com for more information. Also, different at the forum as well, the Delphi forum for FTP Sports Games. If there are any questions, you can answer those pretty quickly. And if you get stuck on any certain section, just hover it over with your mouse, and it'll kind of give you an explanation as to what that's for, and cross-reference that with the rules or the cheat sheet, etc. So again, thank you for joining us at FTP Sports Games, and I hope you enjoy the games. Thank you.